looking, throwing in the end zone. Caught it! Montana, touchdown, John Taylor.
Young to the air, Young to Jerry Rice, touchdown San Francisco.
Young stumbles on the way back and fires up the middle. Pass is caught by Owens.
Hello and welcome to this episode of the 49ers Plus podcast. I'm your host, Al Moriello, and this is your source for the most objective 49ers discussion and analysis, plus timely and entertaining sports and pop culture topics. And today we're going to be talking Brandon Aiyuk's continued social media antics, Trevor Lawrence's contract with the Jacksonville Jaguars, how that is both good news for Brock Purdy's wallet, but also the 49ers cap, Pro Football Focus ratings on the 49ers interior linemen, guards, and center. And I'm going to give an updated roster projection, offense, defense, and practice squad based on some new signings and thoughts I had as we are about 30 plus days away from training camp kicking off. In the plus section, we're going to be talking about a class action lawsuit against NFL Sunday Ticket you might not be aware about, Angel Reese versus Caitlin Clark in the WNBA, and House of the Dragon Episode 1 versus Acolyte Episode 4 and the Acolyte in general. But like always, it starts with the Niners, so let's get right into it.
Let's talk Niners.
So earlier this week, Brandon Aiyuk released a video as he was talking to someone on his smartphone saying that, I don't know what's going on. They, meaning the 49ers, don't want me here. Curious thing to say, given that he has a contract on the table of $26 million annually, as reported by Mike Silver. I'd imagine if they didn't want you here, Brandon, or with the 49ers, that they wouldn't offer you a contract at all or let you play out your fifth year option at $14 million, see what kind of season you have, and then offer you something, or franchise tag you for 2025 and 2026 as the 49ers can do. They have Brandon Aiyuk's rights for the next 3 NFL seasons. It behooves Brandon Aiyuk to get something done long-term, and it behooves the 49ers also to lower the cap hit this year with an extension. And if Aiyuk is playing on a franchise number in 2025, 2026, separately, those are going to be 23, 24 plus $1 million cap hits that cannot be spread out since they're single year franchise tags. So the they don't want me here. He was talking to Washington Commanders, almost said Redskins, although I just did say it, but not in relation to the team. To the old name, Commanders rookie quarterback Jaden Daniels, who Brandon Aiyuk played with for one season at Arizona State. The fact that someone is filming Brandon on the phone with Jaden Daniels saying that means that it was staged, right? No one is just following Brandon Aiyuk around with a smartphone or a video camera, waiting for him to say something conversation worthy. It was staged. And it's horse shit like all this stuff generally is with the two diva receivers that San Francisco has. Where's the Jamar Chase stuff? Where's the CeeDee Lamb stuff? Where's the T. Higgins nonsense? Where was it from Jalen Waddle, Amon-Ra St. Brown, whoever else got, extensions in the offseason, A.J. Brown of the Eagles? I don't follow the Eagles, the Lions, the Dolphins, other teams that closely. Maybe it's out there, but this Aiyuk stuff is on ESPN's homepage. They're on NFL, weekly or daily talk shows. You'd imagine someone like a Dak or a CeeDee Lamb would want to go to the media to negotiate their contracts to put pressure on Jerry Jones, but they're not doing this baby bullshit that Aiyuk is doing and Debo has done. Why doesn't Aiyuk take a page out of George Kittle's book or Fred Warner? Nick Bosa wasn't wildly complaining. I don't remember if he unfollowed the 49ers on Instagram or anything like that, but there weren't these ridiculous antics. And these extensions are happening all around the same age for these players. Debo, Aiyuk, Warner, Kittle, Bosa, Trent Williams got his obviously after the trade. But let's also not forget, a week ago, Aiyuk was interviewed and his quote was, "My home is here, my family is here, everything I know is here. I want to be a 49er beyond this season." And he will be. If he feels insulted that his $26 million isn't close to Justin Jefferson, newsflash that everybody knows, you ain't that good, Brandon. You ain't Justin Jefferson. And just because the Vikings want to give an it's not inflated based on phony bullshit money, but they want to give him $35 million a year, you're not getting that. And let's see if Justin Jefferson's worth that with either Sam Darnold or J.J. McCarthy this year and J.J. McCarthy next year. Let's see how much of those stats, those catches, those yards were because he had Kirk Cousins, a top 12, top 15 quarterback in the NFL, throwing him the ball. Aiyuk will be here. Any negotiations, you want to shoot for the moon and then settle somewhere in the middle. You know, if you're shooting for the moon and the team is offering you the earth, the ground floor of the earth, you're going to settle somewhere in the middle. So he's not going to get 35. He's not going to get 30 million a year. He'll get somewhere between 28 and 30 is what they'll net out in average annual value. Whether that's legit average annual value or inflated based on the back end remains to be seen, but he will be here. He's not going anywhere. And as I've been saying for a year and a half, Aiyuk's going to be extended. Debo will be traded at the end of this season. Although when you think about it, if Debo got extended, that would lower his cap hit from low 20s to probably low teens or less. But I don't think that's the route they're going to go, not with drafting Ricky Pearsall and Jacob Cowing, even though we haven't seen what they can do on the field yet. So let's move from the receiver position to quarterback. End of last week or beginning of this week, I can't keep track. The days are blending together. Trevor Lawrence of the Jacksonville Jaguars received a large contract for essentially having one playoff win and a whole lot of promise coming out of Clemson. 5 years, $275 million, $37.5 million signing bonus, $200 million guaranteed. And once that happens, then the contract became, well, you know, is Brock going to get, and that wound up being what, like $55 million a year? Is Brock going to get $56 million average annually? You know, if you are taking into account the last legitimate year on his contract is he's not going to see. Is he going to get $210 million guaranteed? Trevor Lawrence hasn't proved anything yet. He's won one playoff game. Brock's been to the NFC Championship game and a Super Bowl. Has had a better season this past season than Trevor Lawrence has ever had, being an MVP candidate. All fair points. And people that want to, push Brock down, they're going to say, well, he's a product of the system. He's a product of Shanahan. He wouldn't do nearly as well, if he was anywhere else. And listen, that's fair. We don't know that, and we'll probably never know that unless Brock gets cut. But this is the hand that Kyle, Brock, the Niners, and the NFL was dealt. This is where Brock went. Brock's performing better than Jimmy. Brock's performing better than Lance. Better than CJ Beathard. Better than Brian Hoyer. At some point, the media has to start giving credit to that the majority of it is Brock. If you want to say 51% is Brock, 49% is the weapons in Shanahan, fine. That's still the majority. 51% is still the majority. And there's no guarantee Lawrence would perform as well in San Francisco, and no guarantee that Brock would perform as well in Jacksonville. But Trevor Lawrence, what has he done to reset the market? What has he done to get 5 years for $275 million guaranteed? Still less guaranteed money than Deshaun Watson, who has done less than Trevor Lawrence, or has less potential now. Now, Deshaun Watson is basically like a forgotten man in the NFL, in the AFC North. He's just the guy that got the fully guaranteed contract because the Browns are going to Browns whenever they can, and they needed a quarterback. But so this is a good thing for Brock's wallet, and Brock's wallet shouldn't affect you or anybody else in the 49er fandom. It's not coming out of your paycheck. Don't worry about what he's getting paid. Because I'm seeing people saying, oh, if Brock gets more than $40 million a year, $45 million a year, I'm out. And people point to, and this is scary, if you have seen on floating around on social media or want to pull it up yourself, the stats between Trevor Lawrence and Daniel Jones, they are nearly identical. Record, yards, total touchdowns, completion percentage. It is scary. Now, people will take Trevor Lawrence over Daniel Jones in a heartbeat, but is Trevor Lawrence worth $15 million a year more on average than Daniel Jones is? I don't know. If Daniel Jones is healthy with a neck injury and did he have a back thing or knee, whatever, and you swap Trevor Lawrence and Daniel Jones, are those teams drastically different at the end of the day? Probably not. But here is the good thing that the 49ers, Parag Marath, anyone else that's going to be, and even, well, I don't know about Brock's agent, if he's going to care so much about the structure of the contract or as much as the 49ers do. Here are Trevor Lawrence's cap hits. This upcoming season, 2024, $15 million. Next year, $17 million. 2026 starts going up, $24 million. And 2027, $35 million. The first 4 years of this deal, this extension, and it is incorporating some existing money on his existing contract. But remember too, so 2024, this upcoming season, a $15 million cap hit, that includes his guaranteed money from his rookie deal, which I don't know, $5-7 million, whatever it may be. Brock's guaranteed money, there's really none. It's just going to be a little over $1 million base salary in 2025. So you'll add something onto that, some of the signing bonus, whatever. It's not going to be $1 million cap hit when he gets his extension, but it could be around the $15 million range for 2025. That was much more than I projected, or that's much less than what I was projected based on Jared Goff's contract, who the first, through the first, or the next 5 years is $27 million, 32.6, then 69.6, 54.6, and 61.6. 15 for Trevor Lawrence, 15, then 17, then 24, then 35 in 2027. At 2028, it goes up to 47, which is still not terrible when you think about what the cap's going to go up to in 4 years. And there's an out after the 2028 season. 2029, the cap hit goes to $78.5 million, which is huge. 2030, $75 million, and there are 2 void years. 2031 is $21 million, and 2032 is $7 million. A lot of numbers, a lot of years. All we need to know is that if the 49ers structure Brock's extension similar to Trevor Lawrence, the next 3 years could be very helpful for the cap if they mimic Lawrence at 15, 17, and $24 million cap hits annually. So as we start to hear in the next, 6 months, year about Brock Purdy is going to crush the Niners cap, in time, if it is a 5-year deal with some voids, year 5 might get hairy, but they could renegotiate at that point. They could rip up the contract and redo it. But there's a very good chance, based on what we're seeing in Trevor Lawrence's contract, that it's not going to be the financial albatross around the 49ers' necks and cap that many people are predicting it to be. So now let's move to Pro Football Focus ratings on guards and centers, specifically, obviously, the interior of the 49ers offensive line. And I don't have complete numbers here. I tried to go on Pro Football Focus. I don't have a subscription. It wasn't giving me full numbers, but based on what I found, Jake Brendel at center was graded out as the 21st best center overall. He had a career high 70.5 run grade, which is 15th. So his career high, he's still average. And his pass numbers, although weren't given, were insinuated to be bad. His pass blocking grade. Left guard Aaron Banks, a 54.9 pass blocking grade, ranked 84th among eligible guards. So now you're getting into backups performing better than Aaron Banks. Didn't allow any sacks, but not a great pass block ranking, and they did not have his rush blocking, but it was higher. What the article did say is Banks, Feliciano, and Brendel all graded out higher as run blockers than pass blockers. And let's just finish up with Feliciano before I have some thoughts. His rush blocking grade this past season was 84, which ranks 4th among guards. Nice. Pass blocking, 65 grade, ranks 29th. So still in starter territory. You're just in the last 3 or 4 starting guards. Actually, that's not true. There's 2 guards per team. So we'll say 29th is still kind of middle of the road when you think about it, right? There's 64 starting guards in the NFL. He's 29th. Still gave up 0 sacks. So Banks and Feliciano not giving up any sacks and pass protection. And then Brendel's grade being a career high, which was still ranking 15th among centers, and his pass blocking grade not being good at all, though it wasn't given. This goes back to the philosophy of the Niners having that line between can sort of block or can block adequately and can't block anybody at all. The Niners offensive line coaches, Chris Forrester in particular, are okay with players that can block good enough. If you're going to tell me Aaron Banks is the 84th ranked guard is good enough, I don't know when you're just looking about statistics and analytics, but not giving up a sack is great. Didn't go into how many pressures he or Feliciano or Brendel have. I know that's part of the equation. Brock probably in a way makes the line look better, at least the interior better than it is, because he does have he has good pocket presence, lateral agility, and some mobility to get away from sacks. And the only real help brought in was Dominic Puny, 3rd-round guard out of Kansas. I don't see him winning a starting spot, but a viable backup. In addition to, I think, Ben Barch, who might get some snaps at backup center. Remember, Feliciano is the de facto backup center, but the Niners, again, liked him enough that they signed him off the Jaguars practice squad last season, was active immediately the week after they signed him. And they re-signed him this offseason as well. San Francisco's line is not as bad as it showed in the Super Bowl. The only worse game that they had, at least in terms of QB pressures, was the Christmas night game against the Ravens, where the line did not play well, and obviously Brock threw many interceptions, but it wasn't really 2 were a result of pressure, 2 tips that wound up being intercepted. But the O-line, another year to gel with Williams and McKivitz as the bookend tackles. And if they can, listen, the line was good enough to get an offensive player of the year in Christian McCaffrey, an MVP caliber year from Brock, a career year for Aiyuk, 1,000 yards for Kittle, 1,000 all-purpose yards for Debo. West Coast offense getting the ball out quick, Brock being mobile can mask some of the issues. But the Niners line isn't as bad as, people, media outlets, etc., are making it out to be. And there's only so much you can expect from a rookie, even a 3rd-round pick, 2nd, 1st-round pick, if that player is a plug-and-play type of starter, which Puny is not. But we're going to probably see another guard next year since Banks will be gone. They probably won't re-sign him just based on cost. They're probably going to go cheap again with maybe they bring Ben Barch back, a rookie, a journeyman guard. Again, that philosophy. It's not that San Francisco, the team, does not want to have a dominant offensive line, dominant statistically, dominant just passing the eye test. Usually dominance comes with a cost, meaning money, price tag, and they're choosing to use those financial resources elsewhere. It's okay. You can't pay everybody. So now let's talk roster projection. I did this several weeks ago, a month or 2 ago, and I wanted to do it again, just given some of the releases that were made, signings like a Logan Thomas. So let's kind of go through Offense. So we're going to go offense, defense, and the 16-man practice squad. So obviously, Moody's the kicker, Mitch is the punter, and Tabor Pepper's a long snapper. So you got 50 spots remaining. Quarterback, I see the Niners carrying 2, Purdy and Dobbs. There is no need for a third quarterback on the active roster when they're going to have to make already some difficult positional roster decisions. We'll talk about the practice squad at the end, but either Brandon Allen or rookie undrafted free agent Tanner Mordecai out of Wisconsin can be on the practice squad and elevated every week as the emergency number 3 backup. The only issue with that is that would count as one of your 2 elevations per game day. But if there's a game where the Niners need to elevate, say, an offensive lineman and a defensive lineman, then they don't elevate a quarterback and they just roll with 2 and cross their fingers like every other team has, and they've been basically okay with that except for the NFC Championship game in Philadelphia. So Purdy and Dobbs on the 53. Running back, McCaffrey, Mitchell, Mason, and Isaac Guerendo, whatever that order is going to be. If Guerendo shows enough special teams to supplant Mason as the number 3, I don't think that's going to happen. In the beginning of the season, Mason's too good on special teams. And any discussion that people have had about, oh, well, maybe they'll trade, Eli Mitchell beginning of the season, like they did with Jeff Wilson 2 years ago, or last year, I'm sorry, when McCaffrey was brought on board. Is it possible? Sure. But Kyle Shanahan really likes Elijah Mitchell. Mitchell doesn't fumble, but he also doesn't seem to be as explosive as he was in the first 2 years of his career. And this is the last year of his 4-year rookie deal. Fullback is juice, easy. Tight ends, George Kittle, Logan Thomas, Cam Latu, and Braden Willis. Logan Thomas is going to be your de facto number 2 receiving tight end. I don't think they're going to give up on either second-year player, Latu or Willis, but there is the possibility that if the Niners really like someone like an Eric Saubert, maybe he joins the active roster and Willis gets released and maybe Willis joins the practice squad. But I think with Willis getting the playing experience, Latu being a 3rd-round pick and injured with the knee meniscus tear, cough, cough, I think having 2 veterans, 2 young players, Latu can block, Willis has been mixing it up blocking, but Logan Thomas being your viable number 2 receiving threat. Those are the 4 I see the Niners going with. Offensive line, your starters, William Banks, Brendel, Feliciano, and McKivitz. The 4 backups, because they will not be carrying more than 9, Jalen Moore at swing tackle / backup left tackle, Dominic Puny, Ben Barch in the interior, and newly signed Chris Hubbard from the Titans, I do believe is going to be the backup right tackle. This is what the Niners did last year. They had 2 backup tackles, 2 backup interior players. I think they go this route again this year. And at receiver, pretty easy until you get to your 6th receiver, Aiyuk, Debo, Jennings, Ricky Pearsall, Jacob Cowing, and Ronnie Bell will be the 6th wide receiver on the team. So practice squad on offense, either Brandon Allen or Tanner Mordecai, I think, can make the practice squad. If Mordecai shows as much promise, let's say, or close to as much promise as Brock Purdy did in Purdy's rookie year, maybe they try to stash Mordecai on the practice squad. He's not going to make anybody's active roster. If he gets released, he'll probably want to stay in San Francisco versus going anywhere else practice squad wise because he has time in the system. Or if they really feel like they have to have an experienced QB3 on the practice squad, it could be Brandon Allen. And right now it's going to be Brandon Allen. Running back between Patrick Taylor or Cody Schrader. I'm going to go with Cody Schrader out of Missouri. There's the possibility that if he remains on the practice squad all season, plus he got a decent amount of guaranteed money, Patrick Taylor got none, he could supplant or he could replace Eli Mitchell on the roster just in terms of being running back, a 4th running back, getting to 4 running backs on the active roster. Tight ends, I have both Eric Saubert and Mason Pline, the rookie out of Furman, being on the practice squad. I think Saubert, in case something happens to any tight end, having another veteran tight end, I think Shanahan will feel good about. And Pline as a rookie developmental tight end. He will not make the 53, guys. No chance, unless basically 2 or 3 of the starting or the tight ends I have making the 53 get hurt. Those 2 will be on the practice squad. Offensive line, I just have 2. I have Jarrett Kingston, rookie 6th round pick out of USC, and Drake Nugent, undrafted rookie free agent out of Michigan. To get another pure center on the roster, but at least on the practice squad, I like Nugent's chances of making it there and potentially making the team in 2025. Staying with Kingston, I think Spencer Burford is gone. I think Brandon Parker is going to be gone. Nick Zakiel, I think, will be gone as well. And then Isaac Alarcon on the international pathway will be on the team as well. He'll be the de facto 17th player on the practice squad. And at receiver, Chris Conley, they gave Conley some good amount of guaranteed money, but I think he's a player that if you release both Ronnie Bell and Jacob Conley, I think Ronnie Bell has a better chance because of youth and cost of being picked up than Chris Conley. So put him back on the practice squad. Good veteran call-up if needed. And Tay Martin will be the younger player that will make the practice squad. Danny Gray will be gone. Tariq Owens will be gone. And Trent Taylor will be gone. But Taylor could be someone that, the Niners can keep on speed dial in case of injuries, or if in the preseason and training camp, the punt return situation just looks absolutely abysmal, then maybe Taylor makes it over Bell, and the Niners hope to sneak Bell onto the practice squad. One thing I forgot to mention before we get into defense, the practice squad can consist of no more than 6 players with more than 2 years of NFL experience. The other 10 have to have 2 years or less. So on offense, 3 veterans, Brandon Allen, Eric Sauber, and Chris Conley, and 5 young players, rookies, Cody Schrader, Mason Pline, Jarrett Kingston, Drake Nugent, and second-year player Tay Martin. On defense, your 4 defensive tackles, Javon Hargrave, Malik Collins, Jordan Elliott, and Kevin Givens. This was pretty easy to me. We'll talk about practice squad in a minute or so. Defensive ends, I think they're going to go with 5. Bosa, Floyd, Gross Matos. I think Drake Jackson and Robert Beal both stick. There's going to be a couple players I'll be adding to the practice squad as well. I don't think they're going to give up on Drake Jackson yet. Interesting to see if they ask him to bulk up a little bit more, since they have lighter ends in Floyd and Beal that could be more pass rushers opposite Bosa. And maybe Bosa, Gross Matos, and Jackson, or at least Yator and Drake Jackson being edge setters, and maybe move inside on passing downs, especially if I'm going light on D tackle with 4. Linebacker, Fred Warner, Devondre Campbell, Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles, D. Winters, Jalen Graham, and Dre Greenlaw will be on the PUP list. I don't see a need to have more than 5 linebackers. You could always call one up on the practice squad, which I do have, and Greenlaw should be back by midseason. Cornerback 6. The first 3 are easy. Travarius Ward, Diamondor Lenore, and Renardo Green. After that, Isaac Yadam, Darrell Luter, and Rock Yassin. So you have, your 2 starters cemented, Ward and Lenore. If Lenore plays inside or outside, who knows? Couple young players in Green and Luter, and a couple of veterans in Yadam and Sin. The best cornerback room in Kyle Shanahan's tenure here. And at safety, it's easy because there aren't many options behind Jameer Brown, Talanoa Hufanga, who is aiming to be ready week 1, Malik Mustafa, the rookie from Wake Forest, and George Odom. So let's go to the practice squad. Defensive tackles. I have T.Y. McGill making it. Trusted veteran that could come in and start in a pinch given any sort of injuries. Evan Anderson, a rookie out of Florida Atlantic, got a $250 million signing bonus. I think he sticks on the practice squad as one of the 2 years or less players. And Shackle Brown, someone out of Troy that apparently the 49ers like. I think they like the youth there. I think Kalia Davis has had 2 years to show what he can do. He wasn't healthy his rookie year and didn't really get on the field last year. I think he is cut. At defensive end, I think Austin Bryant is your veteran D end here, and I think they keep Alex Barrett as the younger player with 2 or less accrued years. Linebacker, we talked Greenlaw on the PUP list. Tatum Bethune, 7th-round rookie out of Florida State, I think makes it. And this wound up being a numbers game because they do have Curtis Robinson and Turner from the Cardinals who they signed as a free agent. But the way I built the practice squad, there was no other addition or room for another veteran. So I went with the young player in Bethune. Cornerback, having 6 on the roster gives you the luxury of not really maybe needing one on the practice squad since probably only 5 will be active on game days. So you'll always have someone healthy on the roster on the bench. But Keemon Hall is going to get the nod for me as the veteran. That means Samuel Womack and Chase Lucas will be cut. Ambry Thomas should be cut already. He'll be gone. If the Niners think they can get Samuel Womack onto the practice squad as the veteran player, awesome. I don't think that's going to happen. I think Keemon Hall will be the player. And at safety, you have Taylor Hawkins, Jalen Mahoney, and Eric Harris. I think Hawkins will make it as the 2 years of experience or younger player. He made a start last year, week 18 against the Rams, recorded an interception, promptly broke his wrist, and was unavailable for the playoffs. He would have been back on the practice squad anyway. Jalen Mahoney, if he shows out well, he's played slot in college at Vanderbilt as a rookie, undrafted free agent, and safety as well. So there is that versatility, and Eric Harris being the veteran, again, with only 6 veteran spots available. Harris was one of the odd men out. So on defense, 3 more veterans, T.Y. McGill on the D-line, and Austin Bryant, D-end, and Keemon Hall at corner. Young D-tackles on the practice squad, and Evan Anderson, Shaquille Brown, Alex Barrett at D-end, Tatum Bethune at linebacker, and Taylor Hawkins at safety. So that concludes the 49ers section of the podcast. Stick around. We're talking NFL Sunday Ticket lawsuit, Angel Reese versus Caitlin Clark, WNBA thoughts, and House of the Dragon and the Acolyte. Stay right here.
It's plus time.
So I've been a subscriber of NFL Sunday Tickets since the fall of 2000. So I've been with them. This will be my 25th year, both with DirecTV and last year with YouTube TV. Came across earlier this week that there is a class action lawsuit filed by more than 2.4 million people saying that the NFL is price gouging for this service. And this was a lawsuit that was originally filed in 2015 by a single bar. And it was dismissed 2 years later in 2017, but has popped up again. And the plaintiffs, all, 2.4 million people, and I guess I'm one of them since I've had DirecTV for going to be 25 and Sunday Ticket for 25 seasons. It's charged that Fox and CBS want premium prices for NFL Sunday Ticket so it doesn't eat into local ratings of games shown in local markets. And in some documentation submitted by prosecutors, it was claimed that Fox Sports in 2020 demanded that the NFL Sunday Ticket, at that time with DirecTV, be priced above $294 for the season. In 2022, so 2 years ago, it was up for bid. DirecTV, even though they had it for 23 seasons, they were losing money on it. But it was one of their premier offerings that, again, they were losing money on. Put it up for bid. DirecTV did not even put a bid in. But organizations like ESPN and Apple TV did. And I'm assuming also that YouTube bid the highest amount, because what a company charges for DirecTV and the amount that they were bidding on it were two different things. The NFL basically said yes or no to the proposal, and they could have shot down if they didn't think the bid was enough, or what the company, the streamer, was going to charge fans if they didn't think that was enough. ESPN offered $70 per season to customers for NFL Sunday Ticket. It would have been ESPN Plus, with a team-by-team offering for less money. NFL said nope. And Apple basically got laughed out of the negotiating room because they wanted to make whatever they bid on the package. Could have been $1 billion, to whatever. They wanted to make it part of their core base offering of Apple TV, which is $9.99 a month. NFL said, nope, that's not going to work. YouTube wins the bid, and they're charging $350 per season. And I'm just going to speak to my own experience now. So I had DirecTV for, again, 23 seasons. The first 10 or so seasons, you did not need a base package. And I was grandfathered in that for a while, I did not need a base package of programming. It was just DirecTV, which, slowly went up. I think it started maybe it started at $249 in early 2000 when I started subscribing. And then by the time 2021, 2022 season rolled around, it was probably in the low to mid 300s. I don't remember exactly, but those last 5 to 10-ish years, I needed a base package, which was, another $20 a month for the months of September, October, November, December, and January. So that's another $100 on top of what it ultimately wind up costing. I think was $350 for the season. But with YouTube TV, you don't need, contrary to what people are saying, this is why you have to do your own research, guys. I have YouTube NFL Sunday Ticket. You don't need base programming. You don't need YouTube TV monthly to get NFL Sunday Ticket. You can just get Sunday Ticket. You get a free DVR with it, so you could record games for $350 for the year. If you want NFL Red Zone, if your cable provider does not offer that, or you don't have it, I think it winds up being $399 for the year. Okay. And I see how there's a lot of people, NFL fans, complaining about out-of-market teams. I'm not going to pay that much to watch my team. Someone like San Francisco has 6 primetime games, so that's 11 weeks of watching them. So it winds up being what, $30-ish a week if I were, that would cost me. And I watch some other games as well. My son still sort of likes the Panthers, even though McCaffrey's now in the 49ers. The cost issue, listen, I know not every household out there is going to have $350-ish in disposable income for YouTube's NFL Sunday Ticket. But I'm sure everybody out there, or the wild majority, has internet service, has a smart TV, and it would, and I'm doing air quotes here, just be the $350 a year. People piss money away. They piss money away on comic books like I do, coffee, who needs Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks every day or multiple days a week, going out to eat, going out to drink with friends. I'm not going to say if you can't find $30 a month to save, you have some severe financial budgeting issues, because there are families and situations that just don't have that extra money. I get it. But I think a lot of the people, and I don't know what a lot is defined by, I'm not going to say majority or whatever, but a lot of people complaining about cost can afford it, whether it's a pride thing or I don't want to do it, blah, blah, blah. I'll use a VPN and stream it and this, that, like, great. But again, saving $30 a month, putting $30 a month aside, not the end of the world. And I'm sure, maybe you don't need a BMW SUV or a Mercedes SUV, or, you can cut your car payments in half per month or save $200-$300 a month on car payments, rabid NFL fan, and get a more practical car. And it allows you to have this extra luxury of watching your favorite team every week, in addition to other games of interest that you might want to watch. So the cost issue, while I understand it's real for some people, falls on deaf ears for me, for others, because I know, because we're all Americans, everything is grandiose and big and spend money and be showy and blah, blah, blah. I think a lot of other folks can afford it, and they're just being stubborn. All right, off my soapbox. What the prosecution is also comparing is what the Major League Baseball, NBA, and the NHL offer from a price standpoint, games offered, and a team-by-team offering. So MLB Extra Innings, that's the streaming service. If you want to watch all baseball games, except for the ones in your local market. So in the Northeast, the Mets, the Yankees, any nationally televised games on ESPN or ABC, TNT, whatever it may be. MLB Extra Innings is $140 for the year and $120 for a single team package. Now, when I first saw that, I did a double take because I thought you can watch every Major League Baseball game for $140 and only $20 more than if you just want to watch one team. I thought the single team package would be half as much. But as a marketing ploy, that's how they get you to sign up and make, they get another $20 out of you because you're looking at it going, well, it's only $120 for just to watch the Mets or the Braves or whatever. Might as well pay an extra $20 for the year, not per month, for the year, and I can watch everything if you're that ardent of a baseball fan. NBA League Pass. NBA's, streaming answer. $100 for the year. $90 if you just want to follow a single team. And NHL Center Ice, $70 for the year for every game, again, except if it's on nationally or locally. I could not find the single team rate. Let's assume it was 60. So the NFL is wanting you to pay $350 for the year for far fewer games. Far, far, far fewer games than what you would get from MLB Extra Innings at nearly a third of the price. And then obviously NBA and NHL are 82 games a season versus the NFL being 17, but you're still getting that for less than a third or less than a fourth in the NHL's case of the cost per year of NFL Sunday Ticket. By comparison, is NFL Sunday Ticket overpriced? Yes. It's 17, 18 weeks when you count like the bye week. So the season isn't really that much shorter than, the season, okay, let me take that back. The season's shorter than the baseball, NBA, or NHL regular seasons. There's less total games offered in the NFL than Major League Baseball, NBA, or NHL. And they're still asking you to pay 3, 4, or 5 times more than the 3 other major sports in North America. Granted, obviously the NFL is numero uno. What are the damages that could be paid out? Somewhere between $7 billion and $21 billion in damages. There is no timetable. The NFL is arguing that they have an antitrust agreement, if I'm saying that right, with their broadcast partners, but then the prosecution is saying, well, no, that's only with, CBS and Fox and I guess ESPN. Like, look what you're doing with Amazon. Look what you're doing with Peacock for playoff games. Was it who's getting it this year? Netflix. The NFL, kind of goes back to what Mark Cuban said several years ago at this rate about the NFL's greed. Pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered. This could be where the NFL gets slaughtered. And honestly, I'm all for it. Not because, I would save money on YouTube, NFL Sunday Ticket, if it does stay with YouTube, and I guess it would. And you got to look at that contract too. The contract that they signed with the NFL, could that be about what they're going to charge? Could that be unilaterally just lessened? And I guess that could be part of the agreement, in addition to paying out damages to someone like myself. $7 billion. I mean, I don't know. It's not $7 billion divided by 2.4 million people. I mean, maybe it is. And I might have to do that math and get all happy and see what I can get back from it. But if YouTube Sunday Ticket goes down from $350 a year to $200, say it should be more than baseball, NBA, or NHL. It's the most popular sport, but it shouldn't be close to 3 times the amount for the number of games and number of days in the week that you're only getting it on Sunday. If you want to look at it that way, like you have more opportunities, and you have more opportunities to watch more games for MLB, NBA, NHL because they're spreading the days out, right? There's going to be games on every day if you want to watch as many baseball games as you can. NFL, you're going to be flipping back, like the 1 o'clock game, the 4 o'clock game. Forget about Thursday night and the night game and Monday night because those are on different channels and those are nationally televised. You really can only watch one game at a time. You can flip, but you get the benefit in the other leagues of more days being in place. You have more opportunities to watch full games. For what that's worth, I'm not in the courtroom or whatever. But listen, if they knock off $50, $100, $150, I'll take it. If I get anything in the class action lawsuit, obviously I'll take it. This isn't going to be a life-changing amount of money, but maybe getting it down to $200 a year with maybe $150 if you're following your favorite team. That seems fair, right? $200 for the NFL, $140 for baseball, $100 for basketball is interesting to me because basketball is the number 2 sport in the country. It's not baseball. I think maybe the number of games you're getting in the MLB, 162 times 30 teams, is what drives up the price to be $40 more than the NBA. But yeah, the NFL should be more, but it shouldn't be $210 more per year than the nearest competitor. Let's talk WNBA. This whole Caitlin Clark hard fouls thing, Angel Reese. Listen, the hard fouls thing, I can get behind a little bit, or I'm okay with. This is a welcome to the league. Welcome to the league, chosen one. Is there jealousy? Yes. But I think these players should realize that Caitlin Clark and others in that draft class and others that have come before them are helping to lift the league in prominence, which is going to help their wallets and bottom line overall. But if you still want to have this, you're a rookie, you have to pay your dues mentality, all right, I'm okay with it. And Angel Reese's recent foul that was changed to a flagrant, I don't agree with that at all. She was going for the ball. She was swiping at the ball, came late, hit Caitlin Clark in the head, and it was a hard foul. Should not have been a flagrant. But, the jealousy component, is there a race component to this? I think we would be disingenuous if we said no. Granted, the 2 main fouls against Caitlin Clark have been from African-American players versus Caucasian players. Not that you could put that much statistically in an N of 2, but I think we'd be borderline foolish to think that wasn't the case since the quote-unquote chosen one star is Caucasian. But Angel Reese, she's got to chill out. Like, she's coming across as the absolute villain, complaining about, whistles. Now, stars get calls. Caitlin Clark, for the first, however many games she was playing, wasn't getting any calls, wasn't getting the calls that stars get in other leagues or maybe even in the WNBA as well. She's going to get them. Angel Reese will get them as well. Stars in the league are going to get them. I don't think there needs to be complaining about that. But Angel Reese also has to realize when she starts saying, like, it's not about Caitlin Clark, it's about me also, and we did this. You're the undercard, Angel. It's the Caitlin Clark show, and you're just playing in it. You're just living in it. Now, the Chicago-Indiana game from a few days ago where there was that hard foul from Reese to Clark had the highest WNBA ratings in 23 years. I think it was over 2 million people watched that. But what if it was Angel Reese's team, Chicago, against the Las Vegas Aces or Connecticut Sun, who's the best team in the league? Do you think that's going to sell out? Do you think that's going to draw, not even the highest rating in 23 years, draw even 1 million or 700, 800,000 viewers? No. And similarly, if it was Indiana versus the Aces or Indiana versus the Connecticut Sun, it wouldn't have been the highest rating in 23 years either. But I guarantee you a Caitlin Clark-led game is going to draw more than an Angel Reese-led game or anybody else in this draft class. Ionescu, who's on the Liberty. Everyone else pales in comparison. This is the NCAA all-time leader in points scored, went number 1 overall, took her team to a Final Four and finals in back-to-back years. It is not 1A and 1B. It is 1A, Caitlin Clark, and 2 or 3 B, C, D, E, everybody else. And I think people are too timid to say it. Are the Angel Reeses of the world and others going to help? Sure. And if it's part of this master PR plan to become the villain and be more outspoken in post-game press conferences, hell, it's going to explode on social media. It's going to be on SportsCenter, other sports talk shows. That's great. Bring the notoriety, but at the same time, don't cry afterwards that you're being vilified or anything like that. Just like in the Final Four this past year, crying after you lost to Caitlin Clark's team, saying how this was so hard for me this year, et cetera, et cetera. Listen, I'm not going to get inside anybody's head or emotions, but you do you are, Angel Reese, coming across as a me person. You're doing really well still with your NILs. I know the WNBA salaries aren't near what they should be. They're not even remotely close to where they should be, but in time they will. And you're going to be one of the reasons why. But you are a secondary or tertiary reason. Caitlin Clark right now is the main reason. And just in case anyone's wondering, and depending on where you search, you may get different answers to this, but from what I've uncovered, the WNBA still has not had a profitable season. Yes, they're getting endorsements. Yes, they're getting better TV deals. It's the reason why Caitlin Clark is making $80,000 a year salary. It's not profitable. And anybody, listen, I'm supporting the WNBA. I watch when certain games are on. It's not that I click off if a WNBA game's going on. I don't see myself going to a WNBA game. But this is something that people, women, if they're going to be the ones on the soapbox saying you need to support the WNBA, women's sports, etc., and men do too. I'm not chauvinist. I'm not saying that. But the women out there, if you're going to support, then you got to put your money where your mouth is. You got to go to games. You got to watch. You got to buy the merchandise. You got to be more heavily involved. And I know there are women involved. I watch games. I see the stands. There are men, women, theys, thems, whatever. Others, they're all there. But you got to do more. You know, don't just make it good for show. Like, oh, I'm for women's sports and WNBA. You can't be an activist if you're not actually being active and doing something and not being profitable in 30 years. I'm not sure of anything. I hope they turn the corner the next couple years and actually are profitable. But what's the next other organization that you know of that could be non-profitable for nearly 3 decades and still be in existence? Lastly, let's talk a little bit of TV. House of the Dragon episode 1 aired on Friday on both Sunday on HBO and HBO Max. A resounding return to the world of Game of Thrones. The main character, Rhaenyra, who at the end of last season, remember her son was killed by one of the Queen's sons at the end of the 10th episode last season. Bit of a dragon fight, and Rhaegar, the gigantic dragon, ridden by, is it Aegon? And there's Aemond, who's I think the king. Or vice versa. I'm getting confused. A lot of A words. Rhaegar, the large dragon, just basically bit Rhaenyra's son's dragon in half. They wound up just kind of falling into the sea. She gets news that her son is dead. And Princess Rhaenyra has one line all episode, and it's 4 words. I want Aemon Targaryen. She wants dead the Queen's son who killed her son. And this is just kind of like I don't want to say reintroducing of the families and the players, but you know, season 2, episode 1 kind of rolls right into the aftermath, the grieving that Rhaenyra does with her son who's alive, who comes back from the North, saying that the Starks will pledge their allegiance, and he can't even get the words out. He starts, his voice is cracking and starts crying, and it was just such a well done scene. Again, no words by Rhaenyra. Her son was only speaking, but how the son went from trying to do his duty of reporting to his queen, his mother, what's going on in the North, to not being able to finish because his brother is dead, and they embrace. Powerful scene. The prince, played by Matt Smith, is in charge of trying to assassinate. The other queen's son hires 2 people that know the Red Keep and can get into the castle. Could not find the queen's son, so they actually wind up stumbling into the bedroom of the king's wife and children. And there's a little boy, little girl. I don't know if they're twins. One of them has the king's wife at knife point. She points out who the son is, and they off camera, but you can hear it, wind up killing the son. now all roads are going to lead to war. And even Damon, played by Matt Smith, is probably going to have to answer for, or the two assassins have to answer for, why did you kill that child? We told you specifically who to kill, but their mentality was a son for a son. So now there's no stopping the war that's going to happen in the remainder of the season. Now, just quickly, Acolyte episode 4. The reason I just wanted to talk about that, really good season, really looking forward to the rest of the season. And House of the Dragon, season 1 had 10 episodes. Season 2 has 8 episodes. It's going to cost over $200 million for 8 episodes of House of the Dragon versus the Acolyte. It's an 8-episode season that costs about $180 million. And you could see the differences in production value night and day. On top of the fact, House of the Dragon's episodes are all going to be close to an hour long if you're not, say, 50 minutes at the shortest, if you're not counting credits. This last episode of the Acolyte, 27 minutes if you don't count the recap in the beginning and the credits at the end. I don't want to say that's unacceptable because that sounds harsh. I don't know what other word to use, but what the hell? I mean, it is prestige TV. You should be able to give us at least 40 minutes of story every episode. And then if you have a 1 or 2 minute recap and 5 minutes, every episode should be at least 47, 48 minutes on the timer before you trim off the front and the back end. That's one. But Star Wars shows have been notoriously short. And I guess even if you count, if you add 10 minutes to each episode, that's probably another 2 episodes. It would drive up the cost above $180 million, although they were Disney and I guess Disney just trumpeting that this is the most expensive show to date. Maybe it looks it compared to other Star Wars live action shows, but it doesn't look it compared to House of the Dragon. And I've been a defender of the Acolyte. I enjoyed episodes 1, 2, and 3. I enjoyed episode 3 more than a lot of people did because of the exploration of the Force with the Clan of Witches and because of the Jedi rolling into a planet and a system that the Republic doesn't have any jurisdiction over, saying, we have to test your kids. We heard that there's Force users out here. And even though there was the permission of the parents, it seemed a little presumptuous on the Jedi that only the Jedi could wield the Force, or at least that's how it came across. Episode 4, nothing happened. Maybe I'm glad it was only 27 minutes because not a lot happened in not a lot of time. The Jedi go to a forest planet, not really Kashyyyk, but they're going to warn the Wookiee Jedi Master that we saw at the end of episode 3 that May, the Acolyte, maybe they're trying to kill her, and she does travel. She has a change of heart mid-episode. Now that her sister, Osha's alive, she's going to leave her dark side master. He's not called Sith. So she goes into the Wookiee's dwelling, finds that the Wookiee is killed already. The Jedi show up, about, 6 or 7 Jedi, along with Osha, and the Acolyte, May's master, appears behind them, ignites his or her red lightsaber, and then force pushes basically everybody away, and then it cuts to black. So listen, first 4 episodes down, half of the season is done. We have 4 to go. I'll see where the Acolyte kind of is going. A cool 30 seconds at the end of the episode does not save the other 26 and a half minutes of literally nothing happening. And some scenes that were just filler to, it didn't advance the story to, I don't know what. All that being said, the vitriol and the hate and the review bombing and everything of the Acolyte is ridiculous. Whether people have an issue that it's, a female-led cast or a minority African-American female-led cast or Leslie Headland, who created it, is gay. Like whatever the issues that people have with it, it is not a crap Star Wars show. On a scale of 1 to 10, it's somewhere between a 6 and 7. It's not awful. And I've said before, it's a middle of the pack live action Star Wars show. And as it's going, the only 2 I had behind it were Obi-Wan Kenobi and Book of Boba Fett. If things don't, say, get better, or if I'm not as into the last 4 episodes as I was at least the first 3, that could even slide back further. But it's still entertaining. I said last podcast, The world's a little bit brighter when there's more Star Wars in it than less. Just like with football, life is better with the NFL. Life is better during the NFL season than the off season. Can we all kind of agree to that? I think we can. Those of us that are football fans anyway. We'll see where the Acolyte goes. We'll see where House of the Dragon goes. But my God, can you see, you can feel maybe the tangible production set and even special effects differences. And yes, House of the Dragon is more adult and drama, and Star Wars in general is supposed to be more lighthearted fantasy and geared towards children, I guess, everything but Andor. You could feel the differences, you know, like the saying, like, where does the money go? Like you wonder, where's the money going for Star Wars The Acolyte? Because it's sure not going into a length per episode that's going to exceed 45 minutes on average. But that concludes the podcast for today. Like always, I want to thank you for taking time from your busy schedule to make us part of your listening routine. Congratulations to the Boston Celtics beating the Dallas Mavericks in 5, and the Edmonton Oilers, at least as of this recording, forcing a Game 6 back in Edmonton against the Florida Panthers. So if you're watching the NHL, the Stanley Cup Finals, enjoy whatever you are doing until we speak again. Stay happy, stay healthy, stay safe. We will talk soon. Take care.